You're not causing me to work. I'm choosing to work so that I can provide more for you. And it's working with the people around you to help them understand this concept, that you're working with people for the mutual benefit, not the selfish side that's around the edges of these.
Hey everyone, super excited to be here today. Let me just quickly turn off this timer. And I am stoked. My name is William Blake. I'm one of the team at Champion Circle. Those who don't know what Champion Circle is an accountability and a mastermind group where we are able to help change mindsets as well as help people grow their business and grow their goals. And today, speaking of mindset, we have a wonderful individual who I don't want to take time away from because he is the wonderful, the amazing Mr. Ian Stermer. Now, Ian Stermer is a #1 best-selling author. He is, a coach, an entrepreneur, a business owner. He has gone into multiple industries, from healthcare to solar panels to you name it, and he has touched his hands into it and absolutely knows someone who has as well. And without a doubt, he is the dad joke funniest person in the room wherever he goes. So I am super excited to hear this training from Mr. Ian Stermer, who's going to be talking with us today about a centered mindset. So without further ado, first off, before Ian, I turn it to you, I'll bring you right onto the stage. Let's bring you right on over. If I do rookie mistake as I do this. There we go. There's Ian. Thank you for all the attendees who are here, families and friends and people who just want to learn about how to get a centered mindset. Appreciate you being here, and I know Ian also appreciates it as well. And this is just a phenomenal guy. So without further ado, Ian, I turn it over to you, the amazing, the legendary Ian Stermer.
Thank you, William. Appreciate that. Thank you, everyone, for attending today. So kind of my goal today is to present you with a few tools and hopefully help you relieve some of the stress that you find in your life. Things that we all find in our daily lives is we're pulled different directions by different people, activities, goals, ideas. And we find that we just lose a focus in life and we don't really accomplish any of the things that we were hoping to do. So before I start with all of that, I want to lay a little bit of a groundwork about kind of a foundation to lay this on. There's an old advertising statement that says perception is reality. And what that means is if you can convince someone to believe something, it's as good as if it is true. I'm going to use the example of cigarettes to begin with that. So why do people smoke? Well, it tastes bad. It makes your breath smell bad. It stains your teeth. It makes your clothes smell bad. It's really expensive. It'll kill you. So why do people start smoking in the first place? Well, there's only one reason they start smoking. And we all know that smoking is cool, man. It's a really cool thing. We were taught that for generations. Smoking is cool. We've got the tough, rugged cowboy, the cool gangster. You've got the suave socialite. Everything, TV, movies, the good guys were all smoking. It was cool. It was sexy. That's what you were supposed to do. And we all believed that. Now, why did we believe that lighting some leaves on fire and wrapping them in paper and sticking them in your mouth was cool? But we did. Fast forward to today. Now we have the media, which portrays smoking very different. The people that smoke in media now are the uneducated. It's the villains, the bad guys, the people that are kind of dumb. Now, if I offend anyone, what I'm saying now from the bottom of my heart, I say, please grow up. But if you're really offended by smoking, please go to www.stopsmoking.org because we all ought to stop that. But the point is, we believed that it was cool because we were showed that all the time. So smoking was a cool thing. Now, smoking is no longer the cool thing. Nothing has changed about smoking, but the perception we have of smoking has changed. And because that perception has changed so much, now far fewer people begin smoking than used to 50 years ago or even 20 years ago. So nothing about the activity has changed, but the mindset behind it has changed. And because that perception's changed, the action has changed as a result of it. And I'm going to run through one more example, and I'm going to have William help me out with this for a little bit. I'm going to give you a couple of scenarios, and I want you to tell me how you would react to these. So you live in Utah. You're about half an hour south of Salt Lake City, if I remember right. So if I ask you as a friend, will you walk up to Salt Lake City? Are you likely to be excited to do that?
Yeah, probably not.
That's what I thought. Okay, I'm going to sweeten the pot here. What if I give you $20? Are you going to walk that 30 miles in December up to Salt Lake City?
No, I'm good.
Oh, okay. Well, what if I were to pay you $20,000 to walk up there?
Yeah, more enticing, probably, maybe.
Okay. Now let's use our imagination a little bit here. There's an alien invasion. They come down. We're all enslaved. The aliens come in, grab you, and force you to walk up to Salt Lake, where they're going to put you to work in a salt mine underneath the Great Salt Lake for the rest of your life. You have no choice but to walk up there because they're forcing you to. But how do you feel about
that? Not good. Not good at all.
Less excited than you were with the $20,000?
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, okay. Let's give you one last one. Now, what if there was no way to drive and the medicine to save your daughter's life was in a pharmacy in Salt Lake City, and your only way to save your daughter's life is to put her on your back and walk up in December that 30 miles to the pharmacy? Would you do it?
Oh, yeah, I wouldn't be running. I'd be sprinting for sure.
Yeah. Now, it's the same action in every one of those scenarios. It's you walking to Salt Lake City, but you feel very differently about each of those situations. The action's the same, but your motivation, your whole mindset behind it makes that action completely different in your mind based on what the background is, really based on how it affects your mind to do that. So the foundation that I want to lay here is that it's not always the action that we're doing. It's not the outside stimulus around us that's affecting our attitude about doing things, that affects whether we like something or don't like something. It really comes from inside. It's an internal thing. Now, I'm going to shift gears a little bit, but I want you to keep that in the back of your mind as I go into the next section of this, that really it's our mindset about the actions that are going on that are more important than the actual action itself. So now I'm going to shift to kind of the meat of this presentation. As I said at the beginning, we all feel pulled in so many different directions. We've got, our job over here, our family over here. Maybe there's a social or church calling over here. Maybe there's friends over here asking us to do things. And then we've got our personal goals we're working on and achievements that we want to get in our life. And we're just pulled and pulled and pulled in different directions. So I had a time I was feeling that. I felt like I wasn't accomplishing what I could. I couldn't focus on the areas I wanted to because of all these other distractions around. And I was a little bit down, a little bit depressed, really, as I was thinking about this, that I just wasn't achieving the potential that I thought I could. So while I'm kind of feeling that way, and so I'm going to show a picture here, the artwork, if you can see that, of the poor guy in the middle with all the different things around him that he's kind of pulled to. That's how I was feeling. So in the middle of that, my wife came over to me and said, I want to go for a walk. You want to go for a walk with me? And of course I said yes, because one, I'm a good husband, and two, I'm smart enough to know that when my wife asks me to do something, I should go do it. mostly because when she wants to do something, she's usually right, and it's usually a good idea to do it. So I have learned to follow her on that one. So we went out for a walk. And while we're out walking, we're just kind of chatting and talking about different things. And we're talking about our family and our kids. We're talking about work and things going on there. We got talking about some spiritual things as well as we're out there. And I got thinking about this. And in this walk, I was out in the fresh air and sunshine, which I enjoy and kind of recharges me anyways. I'm with my wife, who I love, and I want to spend time with. And it's strengthening our relationship together, being out on this walk. We're talking about our kids, which is strengthening that side of it. We're talking about our work, and not always the positive comments about work, but we're talking about work. And as we talk about that, that's helping to clarify in our minds things about work and things that we should do or could do better. And we're sharing ideas and helping each other there. And we're talking about spiritual and religious things as well. So I realized that when I'm out on this walk, I'm not being pulled in all these different directions, but all of these things are condensing and beginning to overlap each other. And they're really turning into, if I bring up my other piece of artwork here, kind of this Venn diagram, where different parts of this, different aspects of my life are overlapping. And one action is producing a positive result in all of those areas around my life. So rather than being pulled in different ways, I started to think, well, I should be focusing on the areas where they converge, the areas that they come together, because that's what's going to strengthen me the most. Now, I'm going to go into a little example about this to go in more detail. And I'm going to use job because we all have a job. We all have work that we're doing, and there's good and bad to all of it. But even within just our job, there's a variety of motivations that pull at us in that job. Maybe we just find satisfaction in doing a good job. Maybe we're selfish and we want to have power and prestige and people look up to us. So we're going to do good in there. Maybe we have a job that fulfills some societal needs and we feel kind of altruistic that we're helping out the world. We're doing something good for people, whether it's our clients or the world in general, if we're helping. Maybe it's the social needs that we fill as we make friends with colleagues and coworkers. Maybe we just want some money and we're going to use that to buy some new toys to go out and have fun, or maybe a vacation. Maybe we really need that money to provide for our family, to put food on the table. Probably we all do, to be honest. Or maybe we want to have that money to be able to provide something better for our family, our loved ones, than what we had before. We all want to make that next generation have a better chance than we did. There's a lot of different aspects when we go to work, that motivate us to do the job. And honestly, some days one side is going to be stronger than the other side. But the more we can start thinking about that and say, what is it about my job that I like or that I don't like? And start thinking where that fits in. What is my real motivation for that? And then we can take that job and we can actually kind of diagram it onto this Venn diagram. Now bear with me as I try and move my camera over to my whiteboard here, because I was not technologically advanced enough to make a digital whiteboard. So if you can see this and still hear me, we've got our circle of work, but it overlaps with some emotional and spiritual things, some physical and mental things, and some social and family type things. I've kind of picked those 4 categories, but there's a little bit of variance over what people are looking at. Now, if I'm thinking about my work and I want power, I want prestige, I want people to fear me, I'm way over here in the outside of the work. If I go to work because I feel a sense of accomplishment and it makes me feel proud what I can do, then I'm going over here towards the physical mental side of it. If I'm thinking about my family, I'm over in this side, emotional, spiritual things that I can gain from my work. So I can actually kind of plot on that diagram the things that are important to me, and what I'm doing that. Now, if I'm over way on this edge at the I want to be feared and respected and people have just be in awe when I walk in the room, I'm a long ways away from my family side of it. I'm a long ways away from any emotional or spiritual growth and fulfillment in it, or mental and physical things. So this is where you start feeling stretched, because all of the other goals that you want are so far from where your focus is on here. Now, it's easy just to say that all you need to do is change your mindset and think about things more positive. Let me fix my camera again, sorry. It's easy to say that. It's easy to say, oh, just stop thinking that and start thinking something else. Now, it's not easy to just do that yourself. You can't just suddenly change all your motivations, all of your ideas behind it. But the more you become aware of where your motivations are and how those are interacting with the other parts of your life, you start to have a desire to move more towards that center. And the biggest part of it really is just awareness and knowing where that fits in, knowing what's most important. Now, I'm going to bring up William again, just for a conversation we had a while ago. So William has accomplished a great goal of 100 books, reading 100 books a year. Massively impressive, huge respect, and the ideas that he can share and give to me and help me out with, I love that from what he's read. So we were talking a couple weeks ago about goals for the new year, and he said, I'm thinking about reading 200 books next year. So we started talking about that, and through our conversation, he kind of came back and said, if I read 200 books, I don't have time to actually implement anything out of those books. The whole year is spent reading, not learning or growing or doing. So as he thought about his goals, and he changed those, and I'm going to share your goal here publicly, William, so now you're committed to it. Said instead, he's going to read 10 books and focus on those 10 and learn from those 10 and gain the real insights from those 10 books. So instead of what really, nothing personal here, was a selfish goal to brag and say, I read 200 books, instead turned into, how can I read, implement in my life, and help to bless my life and the lives of those around me through the principles I learn? And that's by reading 10 books and delving into them and understanding them and implementing the things you're learning in those. It's moving from a somewhat selfish, look what I can do, to a, how can I be more fulfilled emotionally, spiritually, mentally? How can I help my family? How can I help those around me? So the whole thing turned instead into that center, really is what it comes down to. It's moving the goal, moving the motivation to the center to become more fulfilled in what he's doing. Now, to move things to the center, it's going to take work. It's great if I could just say, hey, no need, you just say it and it's done. It's going to take soul searching. It's something that you need to really examine your life and see how you can do that. Now, a first step of that is to take that Venn diagram, and anyone can draw one of those pretty easy. Open up your calendar and look at what you had written down that you've done in the last couple of days and plot those. Just put a little mark on that Venn diagram of where those activities actually were. And most likely, you're going to find them scattered all over the place. But as you look at those, say, well, I've got way too many over on the work side, because that's probably what most of us are going to find. We spend more time at work. Then we can say, well, this activity, how does that affect the other parts of my life? How can I implement that? Some of that's going to be just soul searching ourselves. A lot of it is going to have to do with other people around you. So this is not something you can just do yourself. So let me give the example of work again. Say you're working, you've got a family to support, so you're working overtime. Maybe you've taken a second job in order to make ends meet. Your family may look at that and say, this person, my mom or dad has to work all these long hours because of me. They're being punished for having a family by having to work those long hours. We need to be able to come to our family and say, you're not punishing me, so I have to work. I'm working because I want to bless you. I want to provide for you. It's a blessing for me to be able to do it. You're not causing me to work. I'm choosing to work so that I can provide more for you. And it's working with the people around you to help them understand this concept, that you're working with people for the mutual benefit, not the selfish side that's around the edges of these. And again, this is not something that's one simple talk to somebody or say, oh, by the way, I'm working long hours so you can go to college. It's not going to come out good that way. But as you take time to build those relationships and have those heart-to-heart talks with the people around you, you're going to be able to more easily share those concepts and that importance and teach them those ideas to help them have a more centered life. That as we help other people and helping ourselves and move to that center of those pieces, we're going to be more fulfilled. We're going to have less schizophrenia going on, being pulled all over. And kind of a final point with that, I've really talked about mindset and ideas and how you look at things. The proof comes down in the end to our actions. Hiram Smith, the author, founder of Franklin Day Planners, pointed out that our actions show us who we truly are. It's great if I say I'm doing this for good reasons. It's great if I try and convince myself that my family is the most important thing. But if I start plotting this Venn diagram and I see that everything is way on the work side, well, my actions are not showing me that my focus is on family. My actions are showing me my focus is on work. My actions are showing that I'm doing the selfish things. Now, a simple one I did recently, like most smart people, I wanted to see the latest Godzilla movie when it came out. So I was looking forward to that. But I also know my son likes Godzilla. So I waited about a week till he finished with finals and our schedules lined up so we could go and enjoy that together. Now, I'll be honest, I was really tempted to just go on my own and see it and maybe see it again later on with him. But as I thought about where are the important things, and it's not just me selfishly seeing a movie that looks fun to me, but it's me sharing that experience with someone that I love, someone close to me. It's moving that from down in the selfish personal side up to the personal and family side. And I got more enjoyment by waiting and sharing that experience than I would have going on my own and seeing it opening night or something like that. So really, as I get to the end of this, I want to point out that this is really a brief overview of this concept and this idea that I've really been putting together for a few years since it first came to me going for a walk with my wife. And as I've kind of fine-tuned it, this is the inaugural version of it going out publicly to people. But I realize this is also a lot of very general things that I'm saying. And for every person, it's going to be a different experience. It's going to be a different area they focus, a different priorities they put on things. So part of this, if you would like to know more, if you have questions about it, first of all, I'd love to have comments and questions in the chat, and we'll have a few minutes to go through some of those and discuss those. You can also reach out to me directly, or if you're viewing this later on, you can email info@mychampioncircle.com to ask questions, to reach me that way. I would love to work with people individually through coaching sessions. I would love to come into companies and kind of show this in a more directed version as companies have their specific needs and help their employees that way. So again, you can reach out to me at info@mychampioncircle.com or look at mychampioncircle.com to see some of the other activities and meetings we have as part of the Champion Circle group. So I'm going to close with that and turn it back over to William to see. I think we might have a couple of things in the chat, but I haven't looked at that myself yet. But are there any questions? I see your notes in there.
Yeah, can we get a big round of applause for Ian and what he just shared with us? If you're savvy with Zoom, you can do the reactions in the chat. There we go. There's some popping up. And just like Ian said, we're going to open it to a Q&A. So any questions that you have on what was taught, should put those reactions in the comments in the chat section as just to show your appreciation and how amazing it was. And Ian, it really was amazing. So let's jump over to that Q&A. And as everyone's thinking about it and putting their questions in there, I'll start off with a question for you. So if you focus on those 4 areas that you said, if you focus on just one area, like, and kind of still sporadically work on the others, is it more harmful or does it increase the other areas? Does that make sense?
It does. I'm going to give a definitive, let me try and talk today. Give a definitive, it depends. So say you want to become more spiritual. You can become more spiritual by climbing a mountain and sitting in a monastery at the top of a mountain, reading scriptures and fasting and praying, and become super spiritual. But you're so far removed from the other things that you've lost them. I think you can focus on an area and definitely focus on areas that we find weakness in. But if we lose sight of the other parts of it, I think it can become detrimental. I had a friend who wanted to get to be in better shape, and she started taking some martial arts classes. She started getting really good at it. She went to a couple of competitions and did good. She got so involved in this martial arts competition that was all she cared about. She allowed herself to go too far that direction, ended up marriage being destroyed. Nothing, put all the blame on her. There's probably a lot of factors, but a big part of it was she allowed too much focus in one area. So I think whenever we're looking to improve an area, we need to keep our eye in that center. The more we focus on the center, we're helping everything. And definitely we're going to find weaknesses in one area or another. And there's times that we really do need to focus on the outer edges. This is life. This is not, it's nice to write a textbook about it, but in life, things happen. So I think you can focus and work. Like I said, you can work on any area, but I think you need to keep one eye on the focus in the center to make sure that you're not being more detrimental to somebody else.
Well said. Well said. Let's jump over to the chat for some more questions. Trevor, he says, thanks, Ian. How may be the best way someone can bring this to the minds or attention of loved ones who may need to reflect or make changes?
Very good question. Thank you, Trevor. I think the best way is to approach it from ourselves first. As I mentioned, with the example of working overtime and how that affects a family versus having to work, if we're the ones that come to someone, even though we might know they're the one that need to work on that some, but we approach them and say, hey, I've noticed that my focus is a little bit too much towards the work side of things, and I'm not really engaging socially with people around me as much as I should. So I'm kind of reaching out to you to help me with this. Can you help me keep my work and my social, to bring them closer together, to have better relationships with people at work? Can we go out to lunch after work or at lunch break as a way to help me out with that? And rather than approach someone else as they need to change, look at the ways we need to change. Because honestly, I don't think we're ever going to find someone else who needs to make a change that we don't need to make as well. We all have improvement to make in every aspect. So approaching someone else to ask for help for yourself is going to help strengthen that trust and open them up to wanting to help you as well. And I think they'll get involved in that whole process.
I love it. Yeah, thank you, Trevor, for that question. Put more questions in the chat. Let's ask Ian. Let's get some of those nuggets that he's been holding all this time from him.
See if you can stump me.
Yeah. While it's happening, I have another question for you. One of the quotes that you said was, "Our actions show us who we are." And so, can you talk a little bit more about that? About our intentions versus the actions that we do, and how we can connect those two together better?
Definitely. And this is an area I struggle with all the time. You and I have been working on a podcast about habits, how to build better habits and strengthen those habits. And we've been sharing ideas about how to do it. And I'm talking that and thinking, dang, I am not working on these habits the way I should be. I know I need to do more of these. A quote that came out of that is, it's so much easier to read a book about being a better person than it is to actually become a better person. So I think, for me, I always need to stop and say, it's great to read about it. It's great to think about it. It's great to share ideas about it. But if I'm not doing it, then it's not genuine. It's not real for me. And if our actions don't align with what we're saying, then there's a mental cognitive disconnect. And we do not find peace. I guess when they come together, we find inner peace. And that's from Hiram Smith, going further into that book, is when your actions match your core values, you have inner peace. But if you say your core value is family, but you're going off to watch Godzilla by yourself, your action is not corresponding with what you say your core belief is. So if that answers that.
It did. Yes. Thank you. Great response. I love it. Well, Ian, I want to thank you for the training that you gave, and for everyone out there who wants to reach out to you and maybe can't think of a question now, but might think of a question later, or just wants to connect with the amazing individual you are. What's the best way to connect with you?
Best way I'd say right now is through this website, My Champion Circle, info@mychampioncircle.com is probably the easiest way to reach out to me right now. And I'll let you put that in the chat if you can. And yeah, I just want to thank everyone for coming on, for the comments, for taking a little time out of your evening to listen to me. And would love your comments as well. If there's things you found valuable, if there's things that you disagree with, would love to hear from you. As I mentioned, this is my first time really coming out officially with this idea. And it's going to be a work in progress for a long time. So I'm hoping you guys can help me refine it even further. So thank you very much for your time. And William, thank you especially for handling all the technical back end of this today.
Absolutely, man. Let's give some more comments in there, the reactions for how amazing Ian did, and for those who are tech savvy, the reactions in there, the claps, the party signs, and everything. So thank you, Ian, again for what you do, as well as thank you to each of our attendees who came today, who took time out of your day to learn more about how to change your mindset, and that truly means a lot. And these things are done with the company Champion Circle that Ian's been talking about and that we're a part of. And any of you want to learn more about it or become a part of it, who love accountability, who love change mindset and growing your business, you can go ahead and check us out at mychampionscircle.com. And there you can find links to be able to talk with each and every one of us, to be able to see our social pages, our YouTube channels with our podcasts, as well as being able to become a part of it. So with that being said, thank you all for coming tonight. And each of you, God bless and continue to be awesome. We will see you all later.
Thank you.